Then I'm nice thinking, and wake up every morning checking my phone, measuring my life and self-worth in quantifiable numbers, thinking about all the things I want to do, that I must do, always thinking about my next step. Wake up, work more, you're not good enough, sleep less, work faster. Work, go to sleep, wake up, do it all over again. 1 week passes, more coffee, more cigarettes, more distractions from my thoughts and from my emotions. There's always something that has to be done before I can offer myself the time to feel, the time to accept myself. I need to do more, sleep more, eat healthier, exercise, be more social, work more, be better in every aspect of life is not enough, will never be enough, don't stop, can't stop right now, tomorrow will be better. I need more and more of everything, and only afterwards I will feel safe and accepted. Because how was I supposed to fill up the emptiness inside of me if not with achievements or with material objects? Just one single problem. There was never enough. I was never satisfied. I was aching. Terror was filling my heart, waking up stressed every morning, a constant pressure every day on being perfect. I couldn't allow myself to be. I couldn't accept myself. I created for myself the perfect trap of feeding my vicious beliefs. A voice behind my back always whispering, "You're not good enough and you will never be." Never good enough to offer myself appreciation or compassion. No empathy or understanding for my own being. It's a demanding behavior in which I keep raising the bar higher for myself. So I keep wanting more. A clear path to destruction, and I was aware of it. A continuous roaming of the mind in its own endless maze until it meets total collapse. My own bubble of comfort whose walls used to offer me safety now was starting to constrain themselves onto me. Slowly cutting my breath, making me feel insignificant, more and more, day by day. Today it feels like the only safe space I have is my own room, but actually it's my most dangerous trap created by comfort, and which will lead me to my own destruction. So I'm escaping the pattern which was spiraling me down in a deeper emotional numbing, a less self-awareness of how I'm neglecting myself until one day I won't be able to wake up anymore and I'll be completely alone. This is a story of anxiety and how workaholism is destroying my life. A story of addiction many of us are living in one form or another, and how I started to escape workaholism. In this short movie, I want to open up a little bit to explore and present my addiction, which is workaholism, while showcasing some shots from my trip to Bucharest using the Sony Film Simulation Picture Profiles. If you're not familiar with Sony Film Simulations, they are in-camera picture profiles meant to give you great color straight out camera for both video and photo modes. I have a full playlist on this subject, so you can go check it out on my channel. I just purchased the Sigma 24 f2 Contemporary, which is an absolute beauty and want to test it out in a more lively context compared to my hometown, which is a very quiet place. So I decided I needed something new, a new environment to push me out of my comfort zone, out of my room, out of my apartment, to see everything with a new perspective, something to fix me into the moment. And what better place than a capital city? So I planned my trip to Bucharest. Woke up after sleeping 12 hours in the chair, got off the train, half asleep. Everything seemed like moving slowly and fast at the same time. Sun was rising rapidly without patience, and people were hurrying up to find their place. So I anxiously followed the flow and started searching for the first moment to capture. I had multiple film simulations that I wanted to showcase in this video, like the Kodachrome 64, Ektar 100, CineSteel 50D, Cinova Lite, Kodak Gold, and Cinechrome. But after trying out the new Cinechrome film simulation, I just fell in love with it and I stick with it most of the time. I'll put the name of each film simulation under so you can decide for yourself which one is your favorite. The footage was all graded using my film power grades, which you can find on my website, but the photos are straight out of camera to showcase the colors and the image you can get without any editing, just by using these Sony Film Simulations. I had all these film simulations and I didn't know which one to start with. I felt overwhelmed trying to decide which should best fit the situation, or at least mirror my own mood. But what was my mood? What was I feeling? I actually don't know, because everything was masked by a feeling of overwhelmness. It's morning, people are in action, the sun is low, creating interesting shapes to work with, and as I was walking, I took a couple shots in my frenetic desperation to capture something. But it all fell off. I couldn't focus and I lost so many moments. So I panicked. I felt like between two walls which seemed to get closer to each other in an alarming state. I was supposed to come together with two friends, but they cancelled, so I ended up alone, which made me even more anxious, more paralyzed. I couldn't gather the courage to go out alone. I was in a rut, doing the same things every day, unconsciously engaging in the same unhealthy behaviors, ignoring the signs my body and my mind were giving me. I was living just like a mindless robot. Even though I'm still young, I never felt as old and helpless as I did in this moment. I couldn't control my life. I had no energy to take responsibility for my own decisions. So I was piloting this body on auto mode. I was living inside of an illusion, hoping things will get better without me trying. It is so stupidly simple. Something I used to do with such ease in the past now seems like a huge wall which is impossible to be climbed. I'm not even capable of leaving my home to exercise in the park or to take a walk. What about leaving home to visit another city all by myself? This was a bad idea. Why am I feeling like this? It shouldn't be such a big deal. I've done this so many times in the past, why is it so hard to do it right now? I feel lethargic and I feel shame. I feel like a failure, like I will end up being nobody. Because I keep feeling more and more anxious, more overwhelmed of life and all the changes going on these days. I do not feel safe in my own home. I cannot feel safe around my closest friends. I can barely feel safe with myself alone. And that for how long? How long till I won't be able to handle myself either? Well, you know what? I'm done feeling bad. I'm reframing my life to a new direction. I'm still scared as hell, but I choose to go. I choose to jump into the endless pit of anxiety. As the rush hour was on decline, there were less and less people on the streets, and the sun was rising menacingly. It already seemed pretty bad. I just got there but already felt like I'm behind schedule. There was not much to do. It felt like a bad start of a day, but I didn't want to quit. Suddenly, a voice inside of my head stopped me and reminded me why I was there. I came to relax. I came to experiment. There's no final destination to reach. There are no goals to achieve. There's only me and time. Time to explore. So I dialed in the settings for Cine, which was never tested before in the field, and just started to give myself a moment. I slowly calmed down and started to feel the city. Everything started to fall into place. Slowly everybody refugied in their own affairs. Most of them working, some starting to find shelter from the burning sun, which was looking more and more menacing as it was rising up over the endless concrete jungle. So I was wondering, where can I find people and stories at this late hour? I just walked around, taking shots of buildings, waiting for something unique to happen. Something out of the ordinary. People say Bucharest is a concrete jungle, and it's true, but I was amazed to see how many parks and green spots they had. Every street was filled with trees, and every zone had at least one huge park. I started losing track of my map. I just whirled around being attentive to everything happening around me. And suddenly, my anxiety melted, and I was in touch with my surroundings. It just clicked. I just realized one of my most valuable lessons for street photography up to this moment, which is, in street photography, just like in life in general, it's not always about moving around, hunting frenetically for the next moment, the next hype. Sometimes it's a calling for meditation, for being still, in the moment, in the same spot, and without realizing, the beauty of life unwraps before you. There is a certain charm to the city, to the streets, the people. Everybody's open and so friendly. Coming from a small town where people look oddly uncertain at you if you have a camera around your neck, Bucharest was a lovely invitation to playfulness. How the lights fall onto the streets, the architecture, the shops, the smile of the people when they realize you took their shot. There is a certain magic to the city, and they all seem to be enjoying being part of the process, as much as I did. It's my second time visiting Bucharest, and I absolutely love it. Unfortunately, I won't use too many pictures with recognizable people because I don't want anybody to be offended. I try to ask most people if they mind if I took their picture, but I never ask them if they'd like to appear in my video. So to respect their identity, I will post only pictures of unrecognizable people. Shortly, I realized I was enjoying myself, and I started shooting absolute random nothingness. After walking around in circles for a couple hours, I came to the conclusion that it's time to move to another zone. The sun is high and strong, so I shelter in one of my favorite parks. Everything starts to move slowly and gentle. Time feels like taking a break as well on this sunny day, and everything starts to feel a little bit more colorful in my eyes. I just walked around observing. Birds chirping, people were relaxing in the shade, some were sunbathing, and kids were playing. It was a very calm place to be. I really love these shots. Seeing these kids playing reminded me very much of my own childhood and how I used to play in the summertime with pretty much everything I could find. Everything felt different in those times. No worries on my mind. Everything seemed to move slow and my heart was filled with curiosity to explore. Nowadays, it's hard to reconnect or feel the same. But I'm also different. But even though I'm different now, maybe it's time to reconnect. After a quiet and relaxing stroll through the park, I decided it's time to explore new areas. There's something about public transportation that really makes me feel excited, especially a subway. Maybe it's the lights, maybe the changing levels of underground, the smell of basement, maybe how the wind is blowing like the storm is coming. And the stories, obviously the stories. I just love it all. Probably no place holds as many stories as the subway. They've seen it all. When you were rushing late in the morning, when you were having a good laugh being drunk with your friends on a weekend night, when you smirked because you received a text from somebody special, but also when you were alone, and when you held inside the tears because there was nobody to hold you. It's all in the subway. I love observing and taking part of stories. It's where most inspiration takes form. A place where you can start to feel and understand that we are all people, fragile and vulnerable human beings. And sometimes that's all we need, someone to listen and to understand us. But instead, we are taught how to be strong individualists, how to be heartless, how to ignore our emotions, and leave our human traits behind because it only shows weakness. We need to be helped, not pushed down. At this point, I was shooting mindlessly. It was such an easy pleasure. Walking around, everything seemed of interest to me, not regretting at all, knowing that I was going to spend hours and hours deleting the useless shots that I've taken. I felt so free with all my worries melted. Everything seemed so real and in place, just like it's supposed to be. I was seeing something unique on every street, and it was the first time I felt so inspired in so long. I wasn't just a ball of anxiety anymore. My mind wasn't overreacting and overthinking everything. It was stillness. And finally, I felt connected to my inner self. Coming here alone was not a mistake. And clearly, it was not by chance. It was all part of my journey of reconnecting. It was my liberation. As the sun goes down, the ambience of the city changes as well. People starting to be less friendly and more skeptical of any interactions, especially in the areas that I wanted to explore, which were pretty dangerous nighttime. I myself became more aware of what is going on around me since the ambience changes from block to block. And suddenly, sketchy folks start to appear on the streets. One street can be peaceful with pretty houses, while the next one full of shady people roaming around. Overall, it felt great revisiting Bucharest, and this trip was exactly what I needed, but with empty streets and nothing going on, it's slowly getting boring, so I felt like it's time to go home. But one funny thing is, I wanted this trip to be as spontaneous as possible, so I decided last minute to leave, and I didn't check what time is the train returning hometown. Usually there are trains every couple hours, so I didn't take into consideration my next train will leave only the following day at 6 a.m. It was 11:30 p.m., and overall I've been walking for 18 hours straight. I was really tired. My body was aching for sleep, and I still had more than 6 hours to wait till I could leave Bucharest. So to speed up the remaining time, I went back on the streets. But out of the sudden, everything changed completely and got really creepy. Couple hour passes by shooting mindlessly, listening to the streets, being aware of every sound happening around me. But with streets being completely desolated and at times weird people appearing from nowhere, I didn't feel that comfortable anymore walking all by myself. The subway was also closing, so I had to take my final ride for the night. I wasn't aware of this aspect either. I thought I will be able to travel with the subway all night. Unfortunately, the last stop was not exactly at the train station. I was in a rather dangerous part of the city at around 1-2 a.m. and I had to go by foot all the way back to the train station. Coming out of the subway, I noticed people whispering in distance and groups of people rapidly disappearing behind corners. It was all pretty sketchy. Suddenly, two guys appeared, riding their bikes strangely close to me. Everything seemed rather uneasy, and I was very cautious of my surroundings. It was also silent. There was nobody on the streets, only some cars passing by. There was no restaurant or fast food open, no place to waste my time in safety until the morning comes. I eventually decided it would be safest to go back at the train station and wait for the morning to come. So I walked back to the station and waited there, together with a couple people who were also commuting to Bucharest from smaller cities. They were also waiting for the night to end. I spoke to one guy. He was such a kind soul, but very unfortunate. For the last 3 years, he has been working without any contract in Bucharest as a daily worker. Business owners come pick him up together with other job seekers, and they promise them work for maybe 1 day, sometimes 1 week, or if they're lucky 1 month. But many times he finds no work for weeks, so he stays in the train station, homeless, because he has nothing better to do in his small town. He believes he has no other way of earning money, and he will never find a good job because people won't hire him. He wasn't sure if he should stay 1 more day or not. He had $5 left, and that was all his money, which was his train ticket money. He didn't beg for money. He wasn't trying to use this story for me to pity him. I could see the sorrow, the honesty, and the true soul of this man. I approached him and he just opened up to me, which I appreciated. He deserved more, but he couldn't see the opportunities he could have. His story really touched me. So after I gave him some food money and my goodbyes, I started reflecting on how much do we need to lose in this life to realize of what we had in front of us. His story made me realize how ungrateful I can be at times and how much luck I had in comparison to others to have the life of mine, or at least for the chance to be aware, to be able to choose new perspectives. Just because I knew I had a choice and a chance for a better life. The luck of having hope to change things. Hope which this man had no more. It's not much, but even this little awareness is such a privilege. It's never our job to judge and bring people down, but try to help them be their best, little by little, because that's why we become addicted and ill-minded and angry and mad, because we cannot relate to one another, because we feel so misunderstood, because we feel like we don't belong, and because we cannot stand each other. But what if we just stop for a second and listen to the ones close to us? Realize we're all humans, we're not perfect, and we'll make so many mistakes, and that is part of the process. So instead of separation and hate, let's try to understand each other, because that's all we seek as humans. We seek appreciation through various forms. Isn't compassion our most powerful tool in resolving problems and overcoming our own ego? Compassion towards ourselves and towards the one around us. Understanding which fulfills the emptiness or trauma left behind. More than achievements, more than cars, rings, clothes, and material objects. Only if we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and a new perspective arises. A new world is built right in front of us. A world of humanity and connection. A world where we make mistakes, but a place where we also fix what we've broken. And a place to exist with all our differences. For everybody to be together in a community. Hopefully this video helped you see a new perspective. Share the message, and thank you for watching.